the alderman has just read are not applicable to this particular matter because the city clerk has a separate section under which their retirement is dealt with. That section would supersede unless the city had chose to go under that, which, as you have currently said, and I believe is probably correct, the city has never went under that section. So they've never adopted that to replace the section that a city clerk is now under, which is the old general section, which then comes down to, does she have the years of service? The council had that comment made at the previous council. The previous council voted that action was not rescinded. It was not vetoed. That action stands if you, as a council, remove the retirement, is my opinion, and I believe it's that opinion of Mr. Schoen also from documents I've seen. I've not corresponded directly with Mr. Schoen, but I've seen several correspondence from other individuals that would indicate that if you don't fund this retirement, you're likely to get sued, and if you get sued, you're likely to lose as a city council.
Mr. Pender?
That sounds mighty familiar.
It may sound familiar.
And we're to the point, this may sound like a witch hunt. My only concern is clarification of the code, regardless of the references made. There is a requirement, the only requirement to the concern that has been expressed to me is this is a lifetime commitment by this city that will come out of the general fund an amount of a minimum of $15,250 a year plus any approved at this table COLA increases. That the information that the last council previously acted upon, was that information thoroughly researched or was it provided by the individual? And the vote at the table was, oh, she was deputy clerk for 4 years, and she was city clerk for 8 years. That gives her the 10. So yeah, let's approve her retirement. That's my concern, is were the proper safeguards that need to be done whenever you're taking an action like this, because there is a section in the code, and I don't have my stack of emails with me, but there's a reference to if you're in a similar retirement system, that once you have paid in and taken out that entire fund, that those years do not count for service for, upon receiving a refund, this is in 24/12/111, upon receiving a refund of the amounts deducted from his or her monthly salary from the pension and relief fund for paid non-uniformed employees of the city, the employee shall forfeit his or her credited service as a member of the pension and relief fund and shall not be eligible thereafter to receive any benefits under the provision of this act for his or her service. That is the only thing that I think needs to be clarified, to whether or not the proper years were approved. If they are, fine. If they aren't, then we would be in malfeasance.
Mr. DeVito?
I read that, as you said, that it eliminates her credit in the pension fund. That's not the issue here. It's her credit of service. Sure, if you take your money out of a pension fund, yeah, it's going to eliminate your credit in the pension fund. That's not the issue at the table, and we're talking under two separate state codes here. And the code that we're following was services rendered. She served 4 years as deputy clerk and 8 years as city clerk, which accumulates to 12 years service. So as you read that statute, yeah, the 4 years removed her from the pension fund. It didn't remove her service to the community, and that's what is at issue here, is the fact that we have a city employee who has put 12 years in service to the community, and I think in my knowledge, she's only the second one in recent history to do that. So it's not like there's a floodgate being unleashed here and there's a stampede of people to take advantage of this situation. We're only talking about the second employee in probably the last 50 years. So I don't think this is undue to reward somebody for service to the city. On the contrary, that's what we have to be well aware of, is to keep qualified and capable city employees. And this is an issue of 12 years of service, which in this community is a fairly long time. So I think we did the right thing based on the right information.
Mr. Berry, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I'm just going back, and I repeat a little bit of what Mr. DeVito said, but also what our city attorneys, the chapter that this is Mr. Ponell and Ms. Balance was referencing isn't applicable to the situation. The council voted whether or not to allow her 4 years as deputy clerk to be counted, and that's what we did. And therefore, that's where we were standing. In reference to numbers of people that have called, I had one person call against it. I've had several people call that were in favor of it.
I have one final comment. This starts out with definitions, and I'm not sure if I'm repeating what Ms. Balance said. Under 2412-101 definitions, as used in this act, paid non-uniform employees means mayor, city attorney, city treasurer, city clerk. I'll stop there because that's where we're at. And that goes clear through 2412-112, which is still part of the same section, and it says, upon receiving a refund, and all due respect to my elders, Mr. Berry and Mr. DeVito, a refund of amounts deducted from his or her monthly salary from the pension and relief fund for paid non-uniformed employees of the city, which I believe she withdrew $862.32 or somewhere close to that. The employee shall forfeit his or her credited service. And the credited service is the key to the council, next council voting on the 4 years to be included in the 8 to make it 10 so she could draw her retirement.
Ms. Ballant,
I also found some other.
make it short, please. Yeah, this is getting long in the tooth here.
1442-114, Social Security for municipal employees. Says we have the right to provide and establish and maintain a system of Social Security or old age pensions, or both, for its employees that are not covered by Social Security or old age pension legislation. I believe Ms. Sell is probably eligible for Social Security. Retirement systems and benefits under 1442-116. No first-class city, blah, 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 shall hereafter establish any retirement benefit or plan for members of the governing body of the towns, except first-class cities, blah, 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 which had established such system or plan prior to July 3rd, 1989. However, all systems and plans in existence on July 3rd, 1989 may continue. Well, this certainly is well past July 3rd, 1989. Also, I hear our city attorney when he threatens us with, when he says that we may be threatened with lawsuit. I am quite reticent to approach my position here at this table by being intimidated by lawsuits. In this day and age, lawsuits are part of the price of doing practically any business. Perhaps it would be a good thing if this did go to a lawsuit so we could actually have case law established for perpetuity. Sometimes somebody has to make an example of whoever. I mean, it may be us that's made an example of, or the city clerk that's been made an example of, but I haven't found any case law that truly supports giving this money to the former city clerk. One of my main objectives at this table is to look out for the citizens of this city, to look out for the money that they pay us in taxes, to make sure that the money that they pay us in taxes is only spent on items that will benefit the entire public. I don't think this is something that benefits the public. It benefits one person. I can't get behind it. I'm sorry.
Any further discussion? Mr. DeVito?
An employee's service to the community does benefit the entire public. $862 and with all due respects to my colleague, you stopped short of reading the entire code that you're reading from, which said about their participation in the pension fund. It did not speak to the years accrued in service to the community. I've also looked at letters from the Municipal League, and they stated if we overturn this, that we'll be sued and lose. Your best bet going into this is that $862 to deny somebody's pension for the rest of their life based on whether they returned $862, which is very questionable because as the attorneys here, of which there's only one person at this table that is an attorney, has stated that the codes that Ms. Balance and Mr. Pownell have been reading from are not pertinent to this item here. So I'm going to call the question on this.
Ms. Bennett, is it
Excuse.
going to be repetitive?
No,
Okay.
There's a motion on the
Yes.
table to call the question.
The question's been called. All in favor of...
When the question is called, there has to be a second and a vote on that.
Question been called and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
No.
Aye.
All right. Let's get down to who said what.
Which was the second?
Mr. Berry seconded. How many you got?
I don't have the vote.
Okay. One more time so she can get it in the record. Do a roll call vote on it.
Mr. Pownell?
No.
Mr. Kirkpatrick?
No.
Ms. Alexander? No. Mr. DeVito?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes.
Ms. Balance?
No.
Ms. Balance.
With all due respect to our city attorney, I would like to request a second opinion from an involved, unbiased attorney.
How are we going to pay for it? That's what we have Municipal League for.
My request stands. I'll pay for it.
I'd like Mr. Weaver to answer my original proposal is if we could partially, temporarily pay this benefit for 90 days until we get an answer in writing. If we get an answer in writing from the Municipal League that says this is what it is, I don't want to hear we're going to sue you, because that's the same answer that this table almost a year ago gave a cell tower, and we still don't have a cell tower because people said no, we don't want it, and it's not right. If we've taken the wrong approach, fine. We've done what our constituents have asked us to do. I would like Mr. Weaver, I've been told that the only way that we can get an Attorney General decision is if someone like Brian King or whomever is notified that we can request a Attorney General's decision on this. If we could pay it in the meantime, I don't have a problem with that, with the stipulation that if it rules for or against, that there's no holds barred against the individual that got the money. If it's against them or against the city, if we don't have to pay it.
Mr. Weaver?
As to the Alderman's question of whether you can pay it for a period of time, I'm not sure that you can without making it an admission. I would counsel the entire council to consider very careful what you are doing, and when you say that this is a threat, it is not a threat. The statements are made by your city attorney who is elected, whether that be me or someone else that sits in this chair in the future or someone that's sat in the past. They have a duty when elected to give you their best